Switzerland was always just a magical place that I knew from my childhood, from these pictures of my grandfather. He was an orphan, was born in Switzerland in Langenthal, but he was trained as a decorative artist, and he worked for this man in Lausanne. And he saved his money and decided he wanted to come to Havana. The ship sank before it got to Cuba. He was picked up by another ship that took him to Galveston. There was a Swiss consul in Galveston, told him he should come to New Orleans, and there would be more Swiss people here. So he came to New Orleans, got a job painting the floats for the Mardi Gras parades, met my grandmother. Later on, my father took over the business from my grandfather, and then I went to work for my dad. John Merle, a Swiss man, a cotton merchant, bought this house in 1833. He and his wife lived here, and they bought the land on the corner of this property, and they developed the beautiful garden that's such an important feature of the house today. John Merle was a real leader in the Swiss community in New Orleans. So in 1838, he was appointed Honorary Consul of Switzerland in New Orleans. She was buried in the Girard Street Protestant Cemetery. They were Huguenots from Geneva, and so she could not be buried in the St. Louis Roman Catholic Cemetery. Years later, when the cemetery was deconsecrated, Mrs. Merle's tombstone was brought to this house and put in the garden overlooking the beautiful garden. French Marketplace was originally Gallatin Street, named in honor of Albert Gallatin, Swiss man from Geneva who came to the United States. He was the Secretary of Treasury of the United States. He's given credit with putting the finances together for the United States to purchase the Louisiana territory from France. The story is, though, this was a very shady, seedy area where there were a lot of bars where seamen, sailors hung out. So the street had such a terrible reputation that somewhere in the late 19th, early 20th century, the city changed the name of the street from Gallatin Street to French Marketplace.
Going through the immigration process and going through a full official immigration process, not marry into citizenship, was a long, hard, and exhausting process.
Swissness still stands for quality, punctuality, and it's sort of really kind of a brand that people recognize.
My grandfather was, when I was born, was the president of the local Swiss club, and Swiss club was always a wonderful, big part of my childhood. After the war, in the early 1950s, my dad took me to Switzerland for the first time, and I'm so happy I got to meet my grandfather's brother and cousins from that generation. They all soon disappeared. I guess it was in my army days that I did formally apply for my Swiss passport, and very, very proud to be a dual citizen.